Call-ups. Obviously Benetton 16 players out, but Ulster tonight with a good mix of youth and experience, and certainly must have a good enough side to see off the Italians tonight, Paddy.
Certainly hope so, and this period of the season is always disjointed with international duty, but as you say, a great mix of experience within those new calves that might be getting blooded tonight. You know, the likes of a great back three in Craig Gilroy, Tommy Bowe and Charles Piatoy, and to call on over 600 caps off the bench to cover for the backs in Paul Marshall, Darren Cave and Andrew Trimble is fantastic to have. So I think he's got the mix right. You can't throw too much youth in there straight away. You need that blend.
Paul Marshall could earn his 200th Ulster cap this evening, which is a very impressive record. But on the youth front, up to 3 academy players could make their debuts tonight. This man certainly will. Aaron Hall, 19-year-old from Ballyclare, is named in the back row. On the bench, our fellow teenager Matthew Dalton from Malone, and another of the academy players, the Ireland under-20 player, Greg Jones. Both play back row. Dalton can also cover lock. What do you make of these young fellas, Stephen?
Yeah, it's funny. I bumped into Aaron Hall there this time last year, and he was struggling with a shoulder injury, and he was asking me for advice what to do and how to get back. And he's in the academy and he's looking for his opportunity. Well, my words of wisdom must have paid off because he's running out here tonight. But just to give you a few stats on Aaron Hall, I was chatting to the strength conditioning coach at Ulster. He's very, very explosive. He runs 9.5 metres per second. Very quick. That's winger quick. Very, very explosive, and I think he's just going to be an all-round pest tonight in the loose. A lot of big things are expected of him. He's 100 kgs. He's probably still a little bit more weight to put on that frame, but I hope tonight really goes well because he is definitely a prospect for the future. Yeah,
great opportunity for him, obviously. Okay, let's hear from the Ulster Operations Director, Bryn Cunningham's live with Gavin.
Well, Bryn is with us. Benetton, as you can see behind us, just making their way out onto the pitch. Not the standard kind of build-up. It's going to be tricky for these guys. How will some young Ulster guys cope tonight with this unusual kind of preparation for a game?
I think it'll be fine. I don't think anybody will struggle with it, to be honest. 10 minutes, I think we're all professional enough to understand that 10 minutes is going to make a big difference in terms of warming up. We knew quite early, the call was made early enough that you just put your preparation 10 minutes back. The guys can chill out in the change rooms for a little bit longer, so it'll be fine for both sides, I'm quite sure.
19-year-olds maybe not chilling out in the dressing room before their first game. Big night for some of your young guys, isn't it?
It's really exciting to see them out there. The likes of Aaron Hall, obviously, came through Ballyclare Secondary School, so not the traditional route, which I think is exciting as well. We've seen that with a lot of our academy guys now. They haven't come through the traditional route. We're trying to expand the net a little bit wider, and it's good to see 13, I think, of our 19 boys in there all forwards, and some of them have got a bit of an edge to them, which I think is exciting. That's what really we want to see, and that's what we've been trying to develop over the last couple of years. Not just looking at who's got the fancy skills, but who's going to run through a brick wall for you. And I think Aaron's showing that he's got a lot of those attributes, as has the likes of Matty Dalton and Greg Jones as well, who's in there. So it's an exciting time for the young fellas. I'm sure all their peer group are excited to see them out there as well.
How big a jump do you think it's going to be for them? Because a lot of them are under 20 hopes with Ireland and stuff, and now they're out here on the Pro 14 stage maybe earlier than they thought.
Well, it's a jump. Of course it's a jump. The game will probably be a little bit faster than what they've experienced, and obviously it'll be a little bit more physical as well. They'll know in a close quarter contact area that they're probably going to feel the hits a little bit more, but I think most of them will rise to that. I think they'll really thrive on it, they'll enjoy it. As I say, I'm just really, really excited, and they've got to get an opportunity, and this is an opportunity now for them to grow as individuals, and we have to try and fast track a lot of these young guys. It's important that they're coming through the system earlier, and this sort of exposure will be great for them.
And add to that the announcement this week that Marty Moore is going to join. Happy with that?
Yeah, no, delighted. Marty left Leinster a couple of years back, and he was right in the frame for an Irish starting berth at tight head prop, and he's gone over there, and he's done okay over there, but he's excited about coming back here for a new challenge, and I think we're very excited to get a hold of him and get him into shape and get him challenging, not just for a starting berth with us, but because he'll have his work cut out for that, obviously, first and foremost, but also try and make his way into the World Cup squad and into Joe Schmidt's plans. And I think from an RFU perspective, they'll be happy as well to see another option for them in the front row department.
Okay, Bryn, this time last year was that weird weekend when the Zebra game was called off. Thankfully, Lightning hasn't managed to strike twice. Ulster going to do it tonight?
I certainly hope so. We've got a good blend in our squad tonight, and of experience and youth, obviously. So I'm excited, looking forward to it. Hopefully everybody else is, and hope we put on a good show.
Starman, thank you.
On the subject of the young players, Paddy, if you're good enough, are you old enough? Is it the right decision to throw these young fellas in and give them a crack?
Yeah, 100%. And the best teams around Europe, within Ireland, certainly Leinster, have shown that their academy produces, year after year, very good players, and the coaches are never scared to throw them in early, and more often than not they produce and they show that they can play up to that standard. It just shows the strength of school rugby within Ireland. It's very, very strong, and it's putting players in a position to wear a provincial jersey from a very early age.
It's all about developing homegrown talent. Irish qualified talent, isn't it, is the real key to success.
Absolutely. We need, born and bred Ulster men running out here, week in, week out, representing Ulster. That's what we all want to see. Of course, we'd all love to see 15 men born and bred within Ulster running out every single week, but we know that's not going to happen. We know that's probably never going to happen. But it's just good to see young guys given an opportunity, and I think Bryn mentioned it there. These young guys are being thrown in with a lot of experience around them. This isn't a B team, so to speak, and that experience that Paddy talked about in the back three. This young fella, Aaron Hall, is running out with Charles Piatow, one of the best players in the world. That is just an amazing achievement for him, and as I said earlier, just hope that he goes well, and I'm sure everybody will be wishing him well too.
Obviously Ulster's preparations have been a lot smoother than the Italian opposition tonight. How much is that going to affect them coming to the game this evening?
It can be tricky. I remember it happening to us in the European Cup when we were getting ready for a match over in London Harlequins.
Did you win it?
With the bus. Well, we came out of the traps flying. Yeah, we came out, we scored, and I thought, Matty Williams, a very inspiring man. He's got us ready on the bus. Unfortunately, we lost by about 40 points, I think, that day. So it can have an effect. It is difficult. Everybody has their set routine, how they get themselves ready for a match, and whenever you're only given maybe 5-10 minutes to prepare for that, it makes things a wee bit more difficult.
Okay, let's hear from the Ulster Director of Rugby, Les Kiss.
Oh, look, this is an opportunity more than anything for those guys, an opportunity for the experienced guys to lead away. Aaron Hall must be wondering, Christmas has come early for him. To get a debut at home it's great, but it's always a team effort. That's what we're working on, to be a better team each week, and we've got to dig in for those young guys.
What are you expecting from Benetton tonight?
Well, you watch their games, they're resilient, they're dogged, they just stay in the hunt. I think last outing out against Scarlets, they just wouldn't go away. They're a tenacious team, and their defence is quite solid. They've got a good strong kicking game. They put pressure through the ball in the air and try to look for errors from you, so we're going to have to be good in that area. But it's Kingspan, despite a reasonably different team to what we would have thought we would have had. We've got to be able to manage that pressure they're going to put on us. So looking forward to it.
And a change in position, and the captain's armband for Christian Leilefano.
Yeah, look, Christian's he's been fantastic since he's been here. He's helped Pete out a lot and the other 10s in the club. He was very happy to move there and give Pete a good run at 10 for us. Skipper, the boys have a high regard for him. We've got Alan O'Connor up front, but with the young boys around him in that pack, we thought best let him lead that in his own way and give Christian a go from 12 there.
Best of luck tonight.
Thank you. Cheers.
Yeah, Christian Leilefano, you've played 10 and 12. Paddy, he seems to be able to step into either of those positions.
Yeah, he's a classy player, and he's been a great signing for Ulster, given the circumstances. He's come in and he's fitted in very, very quickly. And it gives Pete Nelson the opportunity to get more game time at 10, like Les was talking about. It takes a bit more pressure off Christian. He can move out to 12 and have still the ability to show his playmaking, which will be important to try and feed the ball to that really, really impressive back three that Ulster have out there tonight.
And Stephen, important that Peter Nelson gets game time. Not so much news announcement this week, more a confirmation that Leilefano's definitely going back to the Brumbies in January, but he's going to be a loss. Ulster don't seem to have any contingency plan for a replacement in the new year.
Oh, he's going to be a huge loss, and it is important that Peter Nelson does get an opportunity at 10. I've watched him play for the A's, I've watched him play for Dungannon at 10. He's a player that needs experience. experience, but he's got John Cooney inside him, Christian Leilofano outside him. So hopefully, the pack can give him that front foot ball which he needs. He's got so much pace. He's a great guy when he's on the front foot. Maybe he just needs to work on his execution of his kicking game, putting teams under pressure, putting it into the corner, putting teams on the ropes. We might see that at times tonight, but there's no doubt that we need to see Pete Nelson at 10 with Christian Leilofano leaving at the end of the year. I mean,
Leilofano's obviously off to his native club. Do you think there's an opportunity that he could come back after that, Paddy?
We just never know. I don't know what his contract situation is, but I think more importantly for Ulster, it's given, as we say, Peter Nelson more time at 10, which we will need come January. And the more you play at 10, the more minutes you get there, the better your game management comes. So you can't expect Peter, once Christian goes back home in January, to fit in seamlessly. He needs game time now, so whenever that transition is made, he's ready and prepped to take Ulster on into Europe and beyond into that second half of the season.
How big a threat are the Italians going to be tonight? I suppose we should remember the first game that Ulster played against them this season, and my goodness, they gave Ulster a run for their money at home, albeit.
Yeah, they've come a long way this season. I think they've surprised a lot of people, myself included. They seem to be playing with a lot more heart, a lot more want, and the coach has got that into them. Their preparation for tonight's game isn't exactly ideal, but they can come out and go, right boys, we've nothing to lose, we're going to go out here. This Ulster team, the fans are getting on their back and the odd performance, let's go out and give this a real go. They'll go out, hopefully they'll play a bit of rugby. It's a nice dry evening here. It's freezing cold here at Kingspan Stadium. It's a nice dry evening. Hopefully we'll see lots of running rugby, but I'm just looking at their team, such an inexperienced Ulster back row, and then you look at the back row with Douglas, Barbieri and Manu in this Treviso back row. They will carry ball. So Ulster have got to not be slipping off tackles this week.
Where do you want to see improvements from this Ulster team compared to what they've been like for the first set of kind of part of the season?
Error count, get the error count down. There's been too many unforced errors. Whenever Ulster are trying to play this high tempo style of rugby, it's their own mistakes that are letting them down, and they're not getting into that flow of the game. You see it in patches throughout the season, but there hasn't been that consistency match to match, and it's because their error count, they're sloppy with the ball at times. And although they talk about it week in, week out, it hasn't been remedied yet. So this could be a starting point for that. They've had a break in matches. They're starting afresh against a weakened Treviso side that'll help get their confidence up, and they need to just cut down that error.
Just on that, Paddy and Stephen, this crowd here sitting going, it's unbelievable, and then all you hear is, do you know the amount of times that I've heard this season here at the stadium. They get so much momentum, everybody's on a high, Ulster's going so well, they're getting in their multi-phase, and then just a mistake happens. So we need to cut those errors out, as Paddy mentioned.
Okay, Stephen, Paddy, thank you very much indeed. In 21 games against Treviso, Ulster have only lost once. Let's see how they fare tonight in the company of Tony McWhirter and Jim Neely.
Well, I was going to say good evening, Stephen. I suppose it is quite a good evening in that there's no wind and there's no rain, but my word, it is the coldest Friday evening we've had of this new season, the 2017-2018 season here at the Kingspan Stadium at Ravenhill Park. And if you're wondering why the chaps in green and white are out on the pitch already, still warming up, it's because there was a problem with their bus. I'm not quite sure what happened. Somebody said they might have had a wee shunt, but nevertheless they are here, and they've made a lot of changes. They are missing an awful lot of people because of international duty, but there's a few fairly grizzled gentlemen up front. Alessandro Zani with 99 caps in the second row, Robert Barbieri, who's in the middle of a couple of New Zealanders in the back row, and a lot of talent behind the scrum. Bronzini and Allen are internationals, likewise the skipper Scarby, who's playing in the middle of the park, and captaining Ulster side for the very first time this season is a man who's well used to captaincy, because alas for Ulster, he has to go back to warmer climes in Australia by the end of January after the European pool games are played. Christian Leilofano is heading back to the Brumbies, where he's the skipper, and interestingly he's moved into the centre three-quarter position. He's wearing number 12, and that's a jersey he's occupied for most of his international career, to make way for Peter Nelson, the 25-year-old from Dungannon, making just his second start. Well, once again, Ulster hampered probably more by injuries than by international call-ups, and interesting, there's only one international forward in the Ulster forward pack, and that's Kieran Treadwell. A lot of changes behind the scrum as well, but Tommy Bowe is back. The man who did the Ulster game against Zebra a few weeks ago, where Ulster came off second best, is doing his 15th game here this evening. Mike Adamson from the Scottish Rugby Union, assisted by Leo Colgan and Shane Cairns, and the television match official is former international referee Peter Fitzgibbon. So a Scots referee, all the other officials from Ireland, and a big evening for Peter Nelson. It was out for the best part of 15 months with a rather nasty foot injury, which required a fairly serious bit of. So away we go, Peter Nelson deep into the opposition territory, where it's taken in straight away by the men in green and white. It's outside the 22, so Allen can't kick directly into touch, and he's not going to. A little bit of muscle being used straight away by the visitors. Allen just took his time, and that's gone into touch, and that's going to be an Ulster line-out. So a decent, what they call these days, Tony, exit strategy by the visitors.
Yeah, decent exit strategy indeed, Jim. Good evening, and good evening, everybody. And big night for Ulster tonight. It's lovely to see some of these academy youngsters being unleashed. Let's hope they go well.
Good line-out. Cooney managed to get it away. Liliafano found an inside shoulder there. Cooney quickly. Nelson, nice flat pass. Louis Ludic clattered from the pass from Charles Piatow. Ulster's main threat this season, and Ulster straight away have incurred the wrath of referee Mike Adamson and have given away the first penalty. It's far too early to be giving away penalties, isn't it? Was it Louis Ludic?
Yeah, Louis Ludic not releasing, Jim, but perhaps the bigger issue is the number of men that Ulster sent in to try and clean that out. John Cooney having to do the job, and not really the place where you want to see your scrum half having to work.
Charles Piatow occupies his position back inside Ulster's 22. And this is Tommaso Allen, the 24-year-old with the Scots mum. Tommy Allen to his mum, Tommaso to the Italian selectors, who have picked him on no fewer than 33 occasions to represent Italy. And he's given Treviso a pretty decent platform. Remember, they've won in this ground before. They won in 2011. And they drew with Ulster just a couple of years later when a certain Dean Budd scored a hat-trick. This is Thomas Baravalli. Shortened line-out. Very nearly picked off. Well done, Bronzini. So well set up by Benetton Treviso. There's Baravalli again, the man who threw it into the line-out. Allen gets it wide. Nasi Manu from Lincoln in New Zealand stopped in his tracks. Good Ulster defending. Mike Adamson having a good look, but it's coming back legally on the Benetton side. Pick up and drive yet again, this time from the enormous prop, Giuseppe Di Stefano. Into Ulster's 22. Slow progress though, nothing too much to worry about. Sherif Traore, born in French Guyana. Allen, now there's a bit of a gap here. Scarby, the skipper, maybe doesn't have the pace of old, but they made a decent bit of ground. Nice little plop pass to Nasi Manu, and he's got past the first tackle. Ulster need to make the first tackles count and stop the Treviso men in their tracks. Referee's got the hand out for advantage, and Ulster going to concede a second penalty, and this one may cost them. The referee shouting release White, which means Ulster have got to leave the ball alone. Giorgio Bronzini leaves it, taken on by the tight forwards, and they're very close, and they're almost over that Ulster line. What a start this would be from Treviso, and certainly anything but the start that Ulster would have wanted. Taken on yet again. Guitu Douglas from Rotorua, stolen by Ulster, but the referee was playing a rather long advantage, Tony, and he's come back, and I'm sure Benetton Treviso will go for the post.
Yeah, it was a long advantage, Jim, but it was merited. Treviso still in control of the ball, and Mike Adamson just giving them ample opportunity to try and eke something out. But that's impressive from Treviso, a team shorn of 12 or 16 internationals this weekend. You heard Kieran Crowley before the game saying they've had to borrow a few players as well, so their game plan will be quite simple this evening. We've seen plenty of one-off runners from 9, but what they do have is plenty of big men and that ability to get over the gain line.
Not just the biggest crowd of the season here at the Kingspan Stadium at Ravenhill, but this would be the perfect start for the visitors. Former Scotland under-20 international Tommaso Allen played, as did an awful lot of these players, in the Rugby World Cup a couple of years ago for Italy. Hasn't played since the game against Australia last summer. He's not thinking about that at the moment. Nice little chip kick, and up go the flags, and it's a perfect start for the visitors. 5 minutes gone, Ulster 0, Benetton Treviso 3.
Yeah, nice strike from Tommy Allen, who finds himself back playing in club colours this evening. His compatriot Treviso, Irish-born Ian McKinley, of course, now filling the out-half berth for Italy this weekend.
Yes, a Scotsman and an Irishman playing for Italy. Who would have thought that? Long again by Peter Nelson. No real challenge, as it turns out. Bronzini gets away. That was nicely shifted by Waitu Douglas. Bronzini under a wee bit of pressure at the breakdown, but he's managed to get away. Good tackle there by Ulster's new cap, Aaron Hall. Didn't get much of a time to speak about him. Little offload, that's maybe gone forward, I think, and the referee's right in line, and I'm glad to say agrees with me. So Ulster will get the first scrummage of the evening.
Yeah, it's Nasi Manu carrying. That's a second offload, Jim. Those specific island traits that he have, he's happy to stay, look for that fend and get the ball away, and Ulster will have to be mindful of that. They'll have to, as well as trying to tackle him and go low. They'll need a second man in there to try and snaffle those arms and shut down that offloading. You mentioned Aaron Hall, Ballyclare born, Ballyclare schooled. A couple of good early hits for him early on, and he brings a lot of physicality to his game.
Yes, and we have to say welcome back Nick Timoney, who missed the last 4 or 5 games with a rather nasty ankle injury, but he is in good form, and last time he started for Ulster, he scored a couple of tries.
He's almost become the forgotten man this evening, hasn't he? We go back to that game we talked about earlier on the season and how impressive he was playing in that number 8 position, and
man of the match.
Man of the match, and quite a nasty ankle injury then in training has sidelined him, and he'll be delighted to get back in that white shirt this evening.
Bit more shoulder.
And it has been mentioned, Matt Dalton of formerly Belfast Royal Academy on the bench, Greg Jones from the Leinster Academy also on the bench, 2 under-20 World Cup playing youngsters.
Crouch.
And Ross Kane on the Ulster tight head side, starting his first game of the season. Free kick against Treviso for early engagement. Here goes Timoney. Haven't given him enough room. Have they given him 10 metres? Just about. Alan O'Connor waited. Cooney. Nelson.
Advantage.
Ball was knocked forward, I think. The referee waiting for advantage. And Ulster, well, off to a rather stuttering start, you'd have to say.
Yeah, a great hit from Nasi Manu. You see him actually shooting out of the line here. He lines up Aaron Hall and gets a turnover from him as well. Treviso playing low, Jim. Lots of energy. That stagnated start and warm-up they've had obviously hasn't affected them, and they've hit their stride right from the off this evening.
There's sometimes a lot to be said for just arriving and getting on with it rather than flapping about and going through all these rigmaroles, but who knows.
I think sometimes warm-up you can almost take yourself too far, and then you come out and you're flat and you're stagnant. Whereas without that warm-up, you don't have time to think about it. You pull the boots on, get the gum shield in, pull the shirt on, get out there, cut your stuff.
Well, the little Ulster Oompa band in sounding well. Giorgio Bronzini, the 27-year-old. That's a good squeeze by Ulster against a much, much bigger pack. Good work on the loose head side there by the redoubtable Callum Black. Not the biggest loose head prop in the world, but he's 4 square, and technically he's excellent. And look at Black now against an enormous fellow. Now, he doesn't really play a lot of Pro 14 rugby, to be fair to Giuseppe Di Stefano. He looks as if he should.
He's a big guy, isn't he? Callum Black did well there. Good body angle, just turning that angle, just nipping himself in the Benetton Treviso hooker, and that was enough just for Di Stefano just to buckle at the knees. And Black went straight through him.
Sorry. Crouch.
Mike Adamson has asked him to do it again.
Bind. Pre-engage.
Now Ulster pre-engaging. Benetton take it quickly. Here they come. Scarby goes in to help to clear out Bronzini. Callum Black just retreated behind the gain line. Benetton still inside their own half. This is Di Stefano, who's had to tighten a couple of scrums from Callum Black. Bronzini again. Allen, bit of a sidestep there. It was like Allen, who just waits behind. Bronzini up to Nasi Manu again.
Hold. Use it!
Ulster lying very flat. There may be a kick, and there is a kick, and that's not a bad kick. And Piatau's underneath it. Well taken by Piatau. Well, a rather sloppy offload to Tommy Bowe. Referee playing advantage for the knock forward, and they'll come back for a scrum to Treviso. So Ulster not actually playing with a huge amount of accuracy at the moment.
No, they're not, Jim, and Ulster were lucky there. Piatau did the hard bit, which was the take, but forced the pass. We see the ricochet, and if that pass had gone to hand, it was a 3-on-2 for Treviso, coming right to left against Ulster.
Gap from the start.
And there were going to be plenty of questions asked defensively at that stage.
Last time it was you, the first time it was you. Get closer, get closer.
Mike Adamson is telling both hookers, John Andrew of Ulster and Thomas Barra Valley,
if you're closer.
Treviso just to get things right in that front row as they go down.
The Scottish refs don't mess about, Jim. We've watched them for 2 or 3 years, sometimes a little bit pernickety. But if there is any indiscretion, they'll go to free kick, they'll go to penalty, they won't ask twice.
Well, there have been a few good ones. Jim Fleming comes to mind.
Bind. Set.
Better scrum by the visitors from Zini. Right wing came in there, this could be interesting. Ignacio Rex, who's a new man in me, I have to say, takes it forward. This is the big South African in Herbst, no relation to Arviat, and there's another penalty against Ulster. And
Sectoral.
well, Les Kiss, John O'Gibbs, Drain Peel, and everybody sitting up in that little warm box there will be wondering what is going on. They haven't actually just got into this game, Ulster, have they?
No, they haven't. They hit by Clive Ross, finds himself on the wrong side, and what Treviso do cleverly. Barbieri just traps him with that right knee. You're sorry, Mr. Ross, you're not getting out of there. So we see the carry, Mike Ross makes a tackle, find himself, but what's Barbieri here? Just a little bit of body weight on him, just to stop him being able to remove himself from the ruck. Yes, makes it a fairly clear-cut, simple decision for the referee.
Clever piece of play by the Benetton number 8, but you would have thought that a referee who's supposed to be as good as Mike Adamson would have realised what he was doing. But however,
Barbieri's been around the block a few times, Jim. Second stint now at Treviso. Played for the Leicester Tigers for a number of years, and he's hugely experienced at international level, and let's just say he knew what he was doing there.
Well, after 5 minutes we had a penalty from this man, Tommaso Allen. This is the double the visitors lead. He's pretty happy with that one, and they will be very happy indeed. And Kieran Crowley, their coach, will be very happy with that, knowing very well that he's, well, somewhere between 16 and 20 players not available to him. And he'll be happy with that start. We played just about 12 and a half minutes, and Ulster trailing, and the Ulster crowd starting to get behind this side, and that's what they need. But it's all between their own ears. Not just into the 22, but it was gathered into the 22. Big chase there from Tommy Bowe and from Christian Liliafano. Crowd not happy with the way that was delivered back by Benetton. It's the other second row. Alessandro Zani, capped no fewer than 99 times for Italy. Never got that magic 100. Piatau waits. Here's Timoney. Good bruising run. Also need this quickly. Nelson in the right position. Piatau glides away nicely. Ludic. Well, it's all a little bit too snatchy stuff from Ulster. They're trying to be maybe just over-egg that pudding somewhat, but they're being put under pressure by a lot of green and white shirts who have got the ball yet again. Taken on by Witu Douglas. Bronzini under a bit of pressure. Good positional play by Cooney. And a clever kick by Cooney. Needs to bounce, and it does bounce. Well, that's the first little bright spot we've seen from Ulster so far. That clever kick from scrum half John Cooney.
Yeah, Paddy Wallace mentioned it pre-match, Jim, in terms of the error count from Ulster. Piatau with the flick. Ludic tries to do too much there. Really just needed to put that under his wing and set it up, but Ulster been guilty of two passes and 2 turnovers. And listen, for the last 14 minutes, Treviso have had all the ball. Every time Ulster have had the ball from a kick-off, Pete Nelson's kicked it too long. It's been uncontestable. It's just giving the ball straight back to Benetton.
And they win the short line out yet again. Also need to be up a little bit quicker than that. Good tackling by Timoney, trying to hold the man off the ground, which hasn't happened. Bronzini back to Allen. Hasn't found his touch. Well taken by Craig Gilroy. Good to see him back in a starting 15 again. Cooney switches. Ross, nicely done. Alan O'Connor almost to the 22. Got it away nicely. Good work at the breakdown by Messrs Andrew and Kane. Nelson, Timoney. Good clearing out by Treadwell. That's good work by Treadwell. O'Connor again. Ulster just up to the 22. Now Cooney. Needed somebody on his shoulder, to be fair to him. He wasn't left with much in the way of an option.
Stay out, stay back.
Callum Black leaves it for Christian Lillefiner. Maybe better at the passing, but who knows. Slow stuff, but also into the opposition 22. Referee telling Benetton to get back. Nelson. Treadwell. So just need to be patient. Pietau. John Andrew.
Thanks, Fitzy.
Head down, tries to get underneath the Benetton skipper, Alberto Scarbi. O'Connor. Tommy Bowe. Timoney. Strong young man, Timoney, and he's hurt somebody who was trying to tackle him. Cooney gets it away. Looking a bit more like it now from Ulster. Clive Ross takes it on. Nelson. Louis Ludick very nearly through, not tackled, and did the right thing, rolled forward. He's presented it. Callum Black. All the pressure now coming from the men in white. O'Connor. Sweet little offload to Ross Kane, his prop forward. Cooney. Nelson. Pietau to Nelson. On the ground and kicked into touch, I do believe, by a Benetton boot. And Ulster at least will keep the pressure on, and they've got the line-out throw.
Yeah, it's good from Benetton as well. Nice defence. Also just going through the phases, you mentioned it, Jim, just in terms of patience and a little bit of just a misdirected pass at the end there, but also just need to try and quicken up the delivery from ruck time. John Cooney needs a little bit cleaner ball so he can get it moving. Also trying to get across and get over that advantage line as well. But Kieran Crowley will be delighted with how Treviso have started. Good communication, they've hit all their first time tackles, and they're asking all the questions.
Yeah, not a lot of smiles on the faces of the Ulster faithful at the moment.
Yeah, I like that, yeah.
But if they keep pressing, they'll be happy enough. Kieran Crowley to his right, the familiar figure of the many times capped Italian international hooker Fabio Ongaro, who's his forwards coach. Great Marco Bortolami is in that coaching panel as well. What a second row forward he was.
Yeah, I think there's little doubt as well, Jim, that Conor O'Shea, now in charge of the Italian national side, has had more and more influence over their two provincial teams this year. And I think subsequently that's one of the reasons why the results have improved.
Well, I think he's still smiling at the end of that game against the Zebra. Well taken at the back by Ulster. Clive Ross was the man who took it, and that's a good line out. John Andrew, who's been scoring tries for fun of situations like this, is in there. Cooney, Tommy Bowe, oh, beautiful by Tommy Bowe. He just leaned in and he leaned out again, and Cooney gave him the pass on a plate, and the league's top try scorer have done it again. 67 tries now for Tommy Bowe.
Yeah, they're not going to come any easier than that. Great control by John Andrew at the back of the maul. And Ulster take it in 5-6 metres over the 15-metre advantage line. And it's Cooney to Tommy Bowe, but Andrea Bronzini found himself in a horrific position here. Just overcommitted. Showed Bowe the outside, and good sleight of hand from Cooney, but really Bronzini should have done much better. He had no need to be as tight as that.
It was a very clever little switch, because Bowe was directly behind that driving maul there for Ulster, and Cooney just suddenly saw it. And that's experience for you, and there's no substitute for experience.
No, absolutely. Tommy had actually sneaked inside directly behind them all, and possibly pre-called from him. Jimmy saw the blind side opening up and was happy to give Cooney the shout. But it's good darts from John Andrew, and good control at the back of the maul as well.
That's absolutely plumb from John Cooney. A terrific conversion following a well-taken try. Cooney gave the scoring pass, and he's out of the extras. And with 18 and a half, almost 19 minutes gone, Ulster in the lead for the first time by 7 points to 6.
Yeah, Les Kiss will be much happier. The first concerted bit of possession and territory, and there's seven points reaped from it as well.
And they were patient. Tommy Allen. That's given somebody something to chase. Well taken in by Ulster on the far side. There's Craig Gilroy. Cooney into some of the heavies to make a bit of ground. There's Alan O'Connor. Cooney with the switch. Piatau. Oh, he's curled that infield. That's a wonderful kick by Piatau. Hasn't gone into touch, but he didn't want it to go into touch. He's going to force the opposition fullback, Luca Sperandio, to kick. And that will give Ulster the line out. So Ulster from the kick-off have made, well, they're 10 metres into the opposition half, which helps.
Yeah, more importantly, they have the throw-in, plus the defensive line that's 10 metres back. But I think you'll see quite a lot of that from Charles Piatau and from Ulster this evening. You'll find him coming in the first receiver, looking to get hands on the ball early, use those feet, try and open up this defence.
Ross Kane at the back of the Ulster line out. Well taken by Clive Ross. Here goes Nick Timoney, head bandage in the middle of the park. Great sevens player. That's a nice bit of hands there. That's good stuff. Good bruising run there by Louis Lewick. And he rolls to set it up. Wee bit of a fumble, but Cooney, but not knocked forward. Clive Ross again, assisted by the youngster Aaron Hall. Taken on by Kieran Treadwell, who's well met in the middle of the park. Cooney. Maybe slight overlap here. So just not quite getting the ball away. Cooney again. Callum Black. Still Cooney and Nelson. O'Connor. Also doing a lot of battering. Penalty.
On the ground, use your hands.
Hands on the ground by Benetton Treviso.
No.
Into the corner, Tony, what do you think?
Yeah, it's going to go to the corner. Although John Cooney, Jim, was knocking him over from easily halfway line warm-up, but we get the impression this evening that Ulster will try and chase the tries if they can, but Cooney's put the gum shield in, down the socket. Looks like he's going to have a shot at goal, and certainly this was well within his range in the pre-match warm-up.
Yes, he was popping them over from the halfway line. Nothing much in the way of a breeze, although in our comedy position it's just a little bit breezier than it is down in the park. It's coming up to 22 minutes gone. This to stretch the Ulster lead to 4 points. Cooney's the top point scorer for Ulster this year, incidentally, with 57. This is his 8th start of the season for his new club. He missed a couple of games through a slight injury. He's got underneath that, and is it going to come in? That's a cracking shot from John Cooney. 22 minutes gone, and Ulster now into double figures. John Cooney, 2 from 2, as they say, a conversion, and now a long-range penalty, and it's Ulster 10-6 up.
Yeah, Christian Leali'ifano just decides to try and build upon that lead, get a few more points ahead and build that score.
Now, where will Tommy Allen put this one? He's going to come out to the near side of the field. He's put that along. Thomas Bowe, the try scorer, to Nick Timoney, who's very nearly got away. Brushed off a couple of would-be tacklers. Cooney. That's a good kick for Tommy Bowe to chase. That's knocked forward by Treviso. Referee playing advantage. Now, did a Treviso player touch it after the Treviso player knocked it on? I think it was an Ulster player was the second person to touch it, otherwise it would have been a penalty. So just a scrum to Ulster.
Yeah, well, Treviso did well. The players coming back onto that situation sometimes bite at the cherry and pick the ball up in an offside position. So first of all, they did well not to do that, but great box kick from John Cooney. Good chase from Tommy Bowe as well, and A perfect exit strategy from Ulster. On this occasion, Treviso kicked the ball too long. Nick Timoney making good yards from the pass from Bowen. As you said, Jimmy, so explosive when it was ball in hand and giving a run at people as well. As soon as defender gets his feet flat, Timoney has that ability to sidestep off either foot and get across that advantage line. Such a weapon.
I can almost hear Andy Bromzini saying, "Oh no, it's Tommy Bowe."
Bind.
John Cooney has a little glance, and the aforementioned Tommy Bowe is directly behind him with the potential to come inside.
We're both on a free kick. If we go across again, it's going to be a penalty. You have to maintain that gap.
Not happy with the hookers again.
Keep the space.
And he's penalised them both and has given a free kick against each side. If it happens again, it will be a full penalty at the scrum, and that's the last thing Ulster need. They're in a good position. They're leading this game. They've got the ball and they're inside the opposition half.
Crouch. Bind. Set.
Good solid scrum by Ross Kane on the Ulster tight head side. Tommy Bowe has indeed come inside. A little bit lofted there, but well taken by Louis Ludick, taken on by Clive Ross across the 10-metre line. That's a good bit of driving from Ross. Cooney to this side, Timoney. Cooney wrap round. Here's Ludick. A little slippery surface there because of a slight frost. Pitch was covered incidentally, and Kieran Treadwell will not look back on that as part of his highlights reel. A bit low, mind you, but it wasn't he should have taken that.
He should have taken it. He's an international quality.
Yeah.
Second row forward, and again it's that error count, it's that lack of concentration.
That's much better, yeah.
Not doing the basics first, which is to keep your eye on the ball.
Well, we've mentioned that how many people Benetton Treviso have been shorn of because of international duty, but they're still fielding no fewer than 7 international players in their starting lineup, as opposed to 6 for Ulster, which is the lowest number that Ulster have fielded in the starting 15 all season. In fact, it's the first time they've been below 10. So Ulster are anything but full strength.
Well, I think that's tantamount now, Jim, to the way that international squads are rotated as well, aren't they? They're together for the 3 weeks, and rather than picking the same team 3 weeks, there's generally downtime in the middle for certain individuals.
Rob Herring on the bench tonight for Ulster, having played in the first 2 games. And the Ulster front row has squeezed a penalty out of referee Mike Adamson, the Scotsman. And this is well within the range of Cooney. Good work by Callum Black. Just dipped the shoulder down, and he has absolutely minced his opposite number, who looks about 3 times his size. Good game so far by Clive Ross, but you know, if your front row's working as hard as that, it's a great platform.
Yeah, it's your front 5 really, Jim, and you see Aaron Hall adding his 100 kg to the side of that as well, and you've got a scrummage in 8 nowadays, specifically on the opposition ball as well, because if you can get a side up, specifically for Callum Black there, knocking the left-hand side of the Ulster scrum up, that negates the Treviso back row, which cuts down their options as well.
Callum Black and John Andrew having a word with referee Mike Adamson about the finer points of the scrummage. So it's all about the finer points of goal kicking. John Cooney's given it another pop and just pushed it to the near post as we look at it, just to his right hand side. So 10-6 it remains with almost 27 minutes gone.
Yeah, I don't think Callum Black will be wanting the referee to change too much at scrum time, because the last 2 have been one-way traffic, and one-way traffic for him. He really seems to have the number into Stefano as Treviso tight head.
Placement loose heads tonight is a new man to this ground. Schalk van der Merwe, the South African. Tommy Bowe to Timoney, who runs into Scarby. Nelson. Nice soft hands at number 10, Peter Nelson. There he's into position again. That's a good pass. There goes the magician. Got himself tied up though. Well taken by Nelson. Black. Cold hands, not just maybe getting the passes away. Ulster have to retreat a bit, but they're still in possession. Here goes Treadwell, anxious to atone for that fumble. Nelson. Bowe, beautiful by Bowe to Ludick, but well read though by the opposition and big Irne Herbst, the second row. Cooney. Also creating a little bit more now. That's nicely done. Gilroy, oh, beautiful to Piatau. Hopping a skip by the All Black. And he's still going strong. Oh, he's done well to plant it. But good driving over by Treviso. They've got to get back onside, though. Sharif Traore makes the tackle on his opposite prop. Cooney had a little glance, but decided not to kick. Taken all by the new man, Aaron Hall. Just a teenager. Stolen, but illegally so.
Off it. That's it.
Treviso was certainly not guilty, Jim, of getting off the line.
Sorry, Tony, we're going to have a wee word with Stephen Ferris.
Hi guys, it's been an entertaining opening 28 minutes. I think both teams are looking to play a bit of rugby. You know, Treviso early on capitalising on Ulster's early penalties, and now it's swung around where Ulster are getting on top of this Treviso side. I think if Ulster keep playing with the width and getting their big men on the ball, that you know, this Treviso team's got to run out of steam. So more of the same for me, Jim.
Well, as you said, not the greatest start in the world. 6 points down after 12 minutes, but Ulster bounced back 10-6 ahead. Could well have been 13, but there'll be more opportunities, I'm sure, to come in terms of goal kicking for John Cooney. Full line out for Ulster. Good take by Alan O'Connor, who's been a great source of line out ball all season. He and Kieran Treadwell partnered together for the 5th time. Gilroy managed to get it away. Well done by Nelson. Good defending. Nelson wasn't held. And what the crowd are booing for. Little hold of the ball there. That's great work by Cooney at scrum half. Craig Gilroy goes in to fill that number 9 gap. Also, we'll have to try to create something on either side. Tommy Bowe's out on his own here on the near side. Referee's got a hand out for a penalty to Ulster. So that'll be 3 nailed on points. Tommy Bowe screaming for the ball to be moved wide. Clive Ross.
Advantage.
Referee still playing advantage. Cooney, Nelson, Gilroy, the other Bronzini, Andrea up very quickly on him, and nothing comes of that, and back for what you would reckon would be 3 regulation points.
Okay, so what we're looking at?
Mike, I'm going to show you possible foul play by 11 Green.
11 Green.
Taking out an Ulster player off the ball.
Okay.
Might be a wee bit of foul play there, spotted by TMO Peter Fitzgibbon. I think it might be Anzini has taken out an Ulster player off the ball. Well, not sure whether that's it or not. There's Peter Nelson. That was the tackle. Nothing up with that. Oh, there it is there. Louis Lulick was absolutely clattered when he was unprotected. And that's going to be a yellow card, Tony, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you think it might be. Ludic unsighted, turning the wrong way, and Bronzini with a no-arm tackle on a player with no ball as well.
Well, it was a shove. It was a shove, but Louis Lulick wasn't waiting for it, and he clattered down on the ground and hurt himself, actually.
Charge off the ball with force. I mean, that's reckless play.
I agree.
Yeah. So thinking yellow card for that.
Yes,
Reckless
I agree,
play
after ball and with force,
yellow card. He's going to debate the issue with Alberto Scarby, the Benetton Treviso skipper. Louis Ludic, who's a tough customer, 11. Seems to be fine. Yeah. Alberto Scarby is saying, "No, come on, you're not kidding, referee." And I'm pretty sure Mike Adamson's saying, "No, you're right, I'm not kidding."
Andrea Bronzini's evening goes from bad to worse, doesn't it? We see he's dropped a couple of high balls, then he overshoots defensively to let Tommy Bowe in for the Ulster score, and now he takes a yellow card for an off-the-ball tackle, and all really within the first 30 minutes.
Penalty is where you're standing, Mike.
Shoulder charge off the ball.
So the referee had actually given an earlier penalty, but he was playing advantage, and one assumes that the second penalty, because of the foul offence, superseded the first. And in the meantime, Benetton Treviso have someone down injured on the far side, so off to the bin. I hope he's got something warm to wear, because it is a cold night, and the man who's down injured is Fuitu Douglas, formerly of Rotorua, played for the Crusaders and had a spell deputising for Kieran Reid at number 8 for the Crusaders when the great All Black skipper was having a little bit of surgery to make him ready in time to play the Lions.
He can't be a bad player at that, can he?
No, if you even carry Kieran Reid's kit bag, you're a pretty good player. So just over half an hour gone. So there are 9 minutes to the interval. Not the most beautiful contact in the world, but it doesn't really matter, because John Cooney has added 3 more points for Ulster. And he's added 8 more this evening and taken his total for the season to 65. And Ulster, with about 9 minutes or 8.5 minutes remaining, leading by 13 points to 6.
Yeah, it's been a very productive last 20 minutes for Ulster after Benetton's impressive start. 13 unanswered points, and Ulster now be looking to put a further stamp on that, Jim, one would feel, playing against 14 men.
Once again, Allen to start. That's hung very nicely. Well taken in though by Ulster and by Clive Ross on the far side. Did that well. Cooney looking to kick. Ooh, there's just about enough on that. That's a nice kick. Well taken though on the far side. The other Bronzini, the one who's still on, George. Here he is again. Treviso's back inside their own half. This is the hooker Tomas Barravale. All the way through is Traore, this enormous prop forward. It's gone loose, but it's picked up by Treviso. Careless stuff there by Ulster. Not enough people really concentrating. Well, a converted try, and Benetton Treviso will be more than back in this game. Traore again takes it behind him and again gets across the gain line. In this case, the 22 of Ulster. Slowish ball. Popped up to Nasi Manu, who's met with a strong tackle. That was good work by John Andrew and by Clive Ross. Ulster again. Ignazio Brex. This is the tight head, Giuseppe Di Stefano. Allen again. Nasi Manu bounces the first Ulster tackler who's got hurt in it. Allen. Scarby, the captain, does not get pace of those old legs there anymore, but he still has made the ball available. Oh, and Ulster have a man all over the place, and I think it's the youngster Aaron Hall who got his head in the wrong place, and he's down like a punch-drunk boxer, unfortunately, and I don't think we're going to see much more of him now. There was nothing malicious in it, he just got the tackle wrong. Play continues, however. So Ulster playing with just a few men. Well taken by Peter Nelson. That's a terrific take by Peter Nelson. And the referee's going to call time off because there is an injury, and Nelson's gone down on his shoulder, and that's the last thing Ulster need, not just in terms of this evening, but going forward.
Yeah, that's Clive Ross, Jim, that's down, and as you say, he just got his head in the wrong position, but tried to get back on his feet, and he was all over the place. Don't even think that'll be an HIA. I don't think we'll see him back this evening. He was in serious trouble there.
Yes, I thought for a second I got the colour of boots wrong, actually. I thought it was
number
young
7 fell on
Aaron
the wrong
Hall,
side, didn't
but
roll away. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Also just need to be careful though, Jim, at Ruck and Mall. Time fanning out too much, and Treviso have picked and gone. Sheriff Traore has found a couple of holes there. We see Clive Ross just gets his head on the wrong side of Nasi Manu's hip and just comes down the other way. And on this occasion, Peter Nelson, good claim in the air, and just the way he lands on the point of his shoulder.
yeah, there was nothing dangerous about the challenge there, but Peter Nelson just came down on the point of his shoulder. But I think he's okay, and I'm pretty sure Clive Ross is going to be okay, but because he's sitting up and he has that far away look in his eye, doesn't he?
Yeah, he doesn't know quite where he is.
Well, there's an interesting result there. The Cheetahs have beaten Edinburgh. Cardiff and Connacht are tied. And what about that in Dublin? Leinster 0, the Newport Gwent Dragons. Ulster's opponents next week, a game you can see with us here in BBC Two Northern Ireland, are leading there.
The Ulster assistant coach, guessing number 6, Clive Ross, number 20, Greg Jones.
So on comes Greg Jones, who had a couple of years playing Junior World Cup rugby with the Ireland under 20s. Clive Ross, another Leinsterman, leaves the field, and Greg Jones on for first Ulster cap number 1, having played in both the games for the Ulster A side against the Scarlets and the Cornish Pirates, but there was a penalty offence all the way back, and Treviso, interestingly, have decided to go for the posts.
Greg Jones from the UCD club, University Colley's Dublin,
Just saying
another
at
Leinster
scrum
man,
time, just make sure
Jim.
that we're close enough so we're not overreaching.
You mentioned Clive Ross, obviously Nick Timoney, a Leinster man playing in the back row this evening. So Ulster have picked up a few bits and pieces from the Leinster Academy guys that haven't quite made the grade down there, and that's not to say they're bad players by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, they can only actually accommodate so many. So back to Tommy Allen from the far side. Didn't make it. Didn't make it. So it stays at 13-6 with about 5 minutes to go to half time. But Ulster have lost their most experienced player in the back row. Clive Ross was winning his 57th cap this evening. Nick Timoney at 5, and Aaron Hall was making his debut. And on comes Greg Jones, who's never played before. So not even a handful of Ulster caps between the back row. Taking a great tackle there by Kieran Treadwell. That's a real bit of aggression from Ulster's international second row. And there is Greg Jones straight away. His dad Mark, who's a great journalist down in Dublin and now the main media man for the Ulster Champions Cup and Challenge Cup, will be pretty pleased with this. Bronzini, Allen tries to sweep it wide. Good defending by Louis Ludic. Less than 5 to go, so we'll be happy, I think, just to hang on to this lead. That's a nice little movement. That's gone away. Picked in nicely there by the flanker way to Douglas. Infield. Allen. Tackled by Ross Kane, and before that John Andrew. That's nicely done by the hooker. Well tackled by Christian Liliafano, Ulster's skipper for the first time this season. Good work by Aaron Hall round the ankles and back up again to compete. Nasi Manu has been very busy. Bronzini. Oh, it's a huge gap there, and all the way through is that fullback Lucas Sperandio. All the pressure now coming from the men on green after half an hour of being squeezed by Ulster. Ulster looking to turn this one over, and that's a very vital steal by Ulster on their 22 bow chases. Knocked back well on the Treviso side, and the player who got the ball, Douglas, was not held.
Stay. Use it!
Looking for a big runner, one of the big hairy second rows, and there's the hairiest of them, in Hertz. Bronzini, the scrum half. Ulster time to just regroup. That was Sharif Traore, the 23-year-old prop. Here's another big man, huge fellow, Alessandro Zanni, been around forever it seems. Nice little dummy, Tommy Bowe not buying it, just policed his man inside. Bronzini again, hint of a gap just starting to appear there. Referee having a good look at what was going on at the breakdown. This is Sharif Traore again. Nick Timoney makes the tackle. Great pressure coming from the visitors. Scarby, the captain. Right underneath the Ulster post, Bronzini. Ulster concede a penalty.
It's a bit silly from Ross Kane, Jamal. Treviso had the ball. We see Kane go in here. He's quite clearly not taking the weight of his body. Gets flipped over and then decides to play the ball on the ground, and the referee's a metre away. Like that's crazy stuff. But brilliant by Treviso. Really comfortable ball in hand, playing a very simple midline game. They've used this left-hand touchline. They've worked the ball into the post, and then they've come back down towards the left-hand touchline, and they found space. They find also the defensive spacing has been awry. Aaron Hall maybe got caught just on his heels a little bit, showed a bit of a gap opened up, and Treviso went through. And it's been decent. You know, they've negated Ulster in this last 10 minutes, and they've been down to 14 men as well. And due rewards would undoubtedly be 3 points here for Tommy Allen, and at 13-9 at half time, they've been good value for it as well.
Already with 2 successful attempts from 3 in terms of his penalty kicking this evening, Tommy Allen. Can't imagine him missing this one. And he hasn't. Well struck. So that's 3 penalty goals for their outside half, Tommy Allen. And the gap is closed to an unconverted try. Fabio Ungaro and Kieran Crowley standing looking a bit chilly, but he'll be warmed by that performance, and particularly the last 10 minutes, and Ulster leading by just 13 points to 9.
Yeah, Bronzini and Allen have controlled it well. Ulster maybe need to contest that breakdown a little bit more.
Again, Peter Nelson has given it a fair old thump, taken in by the formidable Robert Barbieri. Now 33, same age as Zani, the two old stagers in this visiting pack, and there is Zani. Was a great back row forward, played alongside Sergio Parisi for years, and the Bergamascos for Italy.
Find the ball.
Coming up to the end of what's been a bit of a seesaw first half. First Benetton, then Ulster, and then Benetton again. Di Stefano tries to make ground.
Hold.
Allen back inside his 22. They can't pass it directly to him. Kieran Treadwell was the man who made the tackle. And it is going to go into touch. It was back inside the 22. They engineered it. And the referee blows his whistle and the crowd go boo. And Tommy Bowe's try, really the difference between these sides. In fact, just definitely the difference between these sides. It hasn't been a terrific display by Ulster. Mind you, there have a lot of unfamiliar players out here on the park, and a lot of unfamiliar combinations. Will you see them making changes, Tony, at the end of them?
No, I don't think there'll be too many, Jim. I think they'll give them another 15 or 20 minutes. They haven't got a gap in terms of being able to bring on some of the more inexperienced players that are there, but I give a lot of credit to Kieran Carley and Treviso. Obviously all the chat early on was about their truncated warm-up. They were late getting here, but you can tell they're a team that's well coached. They're playing a very basic game in terms of what they're trying to do, but their error count's been minimal. They play possession in good territory, and they're well in this game.
Well, there you are. Good start by the visitors, 6-0 up. Then back came Ulster, 13-6. Penalty towards half-time has cut that gap. Ulster leading by 13 points to 9.
Well, this game kicked off a little late because of a problem with the Italian team bus, but despite the lack of preparation, they've acquitted themselves pretty well, though it's a Tommy Bro try, which has given Ulster a half-time lead. It's a narrow one at that, though. It's, I suppose, been more methodical than mesmerising from Ulster at the moment.
Yeah, it has a bit of a sluggish start. You've given away a couple of cheap penalties, and Treviso capitalising on that and getting themselves ahead on the scoreboard. I think the scoreboard probably reflects the way the game's been. Ulster's had more possession, but it's just Ulster's defence and just in phase play. You know, Treviso, if they hold on to the ball, they seem to be just getting in behind Ulster, and Ulster just burning a few too many bodies at the breakdown, and again giving away a couple of sloppy penalties to let this Treviso side back in. But yeah, you know, we haven't been sitting up here saying that this is an amazing game, but Ulster in the lead. They just got to think their way through this second half and get the job done. Yeah,
Ulster have different combinations tonight. They've got some young players in the side, but it hasn't really been that dynamic in the first half, has it, Paddy?
No, it hasn't. It hasn't clicked. All credit to Treviso. I think their defence has been excellent. I think their continuity's been good. They're getting softer shoulders, they're getting offloads, they're getting more momentum in the game than Ulster. Ulster seem very prescribed out there. Same old story, really. Just side-to-side rugby, but no penetration. They're not getting in behind the Treviso. They're not getting soft shoulders even. It is quite predictable, and whenever you get soft shoulders, you can offload, you can get in behind, and it makes the defensive job a lot harder. Treviso have been coming off the line, they've been meeting him on the gain line, and they've been knocking Ulster back and not giving them many opportunities to play. And a few silly errors early on, a few knock-ons, a few penalties got Treviso into the game after what was a shocking warm-up for them. So they got into the game very early and they got points on the board, and that settled them, and they've been very impressive so far in the first half.
And that pressure that the Italians put Ulster under meant that they forced Ulster into making mistakes early on and turning the ball over. Penalties, free kicks.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, Paddy's talked about this Treviso defence. Look at that for a hit straight in, massive hit, not releasing the ball, penalty to Treviso, and that's that opportunity they were looking for early in this game, to give themselves the ball and get on the front foot. And you know, they've taken it, and this is what I'm talking about here. When Treviso have the ball, just that inside shoulder, outside shoulder, it doesn't matter. They seem to be getting across the gain line and getting in behind this Ulster team. So you know, Bennett and Treviso coach in there at half time, he'll be saying, boys, this hold on to the ball and make Ulster make the mistakes.
Yeah, they've obviously come here to play, Paddy. They've been looking at this Ulster team, perhaps saying, look, maybe they're lacking in a little bit of confidence. They're here for the taking at home tonight.
Yeah, and the Italian teams are very, very proud. They're very proud, and they don't lie down, and you can see that by the ferocity in their defence coming off the line. But they're here to play as well. As Stevie rightly shown here in the clips, they're getting soft shoulders. They're making Ulster's job very tough out there, and you know, I'm sure everybody in the stands here, with the international break, with so many internationals out, thought Ulster would come here and it'll be a cakewalk for them.
But they're
certainly hasn't.
They're coming onto the ball at pace. So, you know, poor Clive Ross unfortunately took a bit of a bang there. You know, that's the way Ulster should be coming onto the ball, trying to sit men down, trying to get in behind them. You know, ferocious in attack and defence, and you know they find themselves behind, but you know, it's a big second half needed for Ulster.
When Ulster did click, of course, that one moment of brilliance, the score by Tommy Bowe, was a great switch, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, almost a pre-planned move from them all here, and all credit to Cooney spotting the space, and Tommy's you know, he's a world-class finisher. Every reason why he's the top try scorer in this competition. He spots the opportunity. There's obviously a pre-call, and you know, Cooney puts the pressure on that Treviso left winger, and he has to step in. He's caught in no man's land, and Tommy finishes well, as he does.
Yeah, the winger should have stayed out there. I think it's the loose head prop has maybe got Cooney here, but look, the winger just caught no man's land, and Tommy, a world-class finisher. Many times have we seen Tommy doing this over the years, so it was an easy enough run in for him.
But the Italians, you know, right from the start, camped on Ulster's line and could have scored themselves. They got off to an excellent start, didn't they?
Yeah, great start, and just what you want whenever you're getting off the bus with 10-15 minutes of preparation. Get your hands on the ball. A lot of the Treviso guys touched the ball, got a contact early, and very, very close to scoring. Inches away there, came away with the penalty, but it certainly settled them coming off that strange start to the game for them.
Nick Timoney there, you see Nick Timoney made the tackle underneath his own sticks, and he was actually getting up off the ground to get back in the defensive line, and he tackled the Treviso guy while he was side on at the ruck. The Treviso guy was going to go and score. He was going to put the ball down, and he came in. He didn't get on back on the line in defensive line. So very, very lucky not to be awarded possibly a penalty try. I doubt it would have been given a penalty try, but another penalty advantage. So you know, Ulster have just got to be quicker to their feet, quicker in the defensive line, and make sure and make those hits count.
One thing which has gone well for Ulster in the first half is the scrum. Forwards coach John O'Gibbs will be pleased and happy to watch this little highlights reel.
Yeah, the scrum's been great. You know, that's the platform that Ulster will be looking for all night. You know, Callum Black, you're not going to see him running around throwing passes out the back door like Charles Piatow, but he's a solid scrummager, and he's in there to do the job. And it's great to see young Ross Keane there, who has been out with a few injuries in the past, and the boys are doing a solid job up front.
Callum Black performing well on Black Friday. Very, very good. Whoever thought of that? Very clever. Okay, obviously a lot of young players making their debuts for Ulster this evening. They've all come out of the Ulster Academy. The man in charge of the academy is talking live to Gavin Andrews now.
Yes, Kieran Campbell with me. Kieran, very happy man tonight. You must be very proud with how the young lads have acquitted themselves so far.
Yeah, look, extremely proud. You know, it's good to see Aaron get his opportunity tonight. He's done a solid game to this point. Very good in terms of his tackle count. Be nice to see him get a little bit of ball, because he's got a nice bit of acceleration when he carries. But you know, that will come hopefully in the second half for him.
And the under-18s who've just won the interprovincial title for the first time in 12 years, getting their moment in the sun out here on a Friday night as well.
Yeah, look, it was a great achievement for them. It's a long time been coming for us at schools level. We targeted it this year, and it's super to see them get that result. And they're a very talented group of boys as well, and we hope that they remain and do well in the programme and come through and get the opportunities that Aaron and Greg are getting this evening.
How bright is the future, and how tough is it for the guys to make that jump? Aaron Hall tonight, just 19.
Yeah, I mean, look, we hope the programme is preparing them well for it. I think they're getting a lot of good, in terms of the forwards, they're getting a lot of good support. You know, we've Willie Anderson there, Brian Young, and that synergy and growing with Aaron Dundon and Jono into the seniors is really helping them, and I think that's what's accelerated Aaron this year. You know, and I think, as we've seen tonight, they are making the step up. I don't think they're finding it easy. I think Aaron's grown into the game tonight. But look, it's given them a solid platform to work from, and as I say, the step up is difficult, but you know, judging by Aaron tonight, they are starting to close the gap at that level.
The foreign players who've come to Ulster have made their mark, but how important is it that the indigenous talent comes through and plays in that Ulster shirt?
Look, I think it's hugely important. I think other provinces have built their success off the indigenous players. You know, if you look at Leinster and Munster and their success have come off that, you know, that's something that we have to aspire to and have to build towards. We are growing a good crop of indigenous players, both forwards and backs, and I think we've seen some of the backs come through. You know, you look at Jacob this year, who's really doing very, very well at international level. We just need now to have some forwards as well of that calibre who come into the first team here, perform like Jacob has done, and then go on hopefully to international honours as well.
One final thought, you won 115 caps at scrum half for Ulster. One of your old sparring partners, Paul Marshall, could be getting 200 tonight. Special night for him.
Oh no, absolutely, and it's a great achievement for Paul. You couldn't ask for a better character. He's also, you know, he's an exceptional player, good core skill set, and you know, a little bit faster than, better looking than me as well. And you know, he deserves his 200 caps. He's an excellent young man, and look, I hope he gets on tonight and achieves that landmark.
It's made for a Marshall snipe, isn't it, with a tiring Benetton that second half?
Oh no, definitely, and you know, Paul's just the man to give you that bit of a spark, and you know, let's hope he gets the opportunity to do that, and you know, mark his 200th cap for a special moment as well.
Okay, Kieran, thanks for your time. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Kieran Campbell on Paul Marshall, never a truer word spoken. But on the young players tonight, Aaron Hall, what have you made of his debut this evening? It's been a tough baptism for him.
It has. I think he's been quiet. He's made a lot of tackles, but we haven't seen him steal any ball like you would see Chris Henry at the breakdown all the time, making a nuisance of himself. But he's up against a couple of big lumps. You know, Barbieri and Manu and Douglas there, as I mentioned at the top of the programme. They're huge men, and you know, he's going to learn a lot from tonight, and hopefully he'll use the experience tonight and go well in his future, because speaking to everybody, this young fella has got a lot of talent.
And it's good to see the young players coming through. Ulster Academy, as Kieran alluded to himself there, is still, you know, a long way behind the Leinster Academy, which seems to be producing a conveyor belt of young talent at the moment.
Yeah, they have, and we have our purple patches at times throughout the last decade, where we got the Gilroys, Jacksons and all those guys, Hendersons coming through in the same crop. It's been a bit stagnant recently, but you know, Jacob Stockdale's come through. You get the odd rough diamond, but it needs to be consistent in order for us to compete with the likes of Leinster, who just have the, as you say, a conveyor belt of youth and talent coming through, thrown in at an early age, and they go right through into the Irish setup. So hopefully we can replicate that.
Key 40 minutes coming up for Ulster. They've got a 4-point lead against Benetton this evening, and after a roller coaster season so far, they really feel that they need a good performance here second half just to see the Italians off tonight.
Yeah, I think the Italians are going to be tough to see off. You know, they're in this game, they're only a score away from getting in front. You know, I think this Ulster team have got to apply more pressure, and that doesn't necessarily have to come from carrying ball around the midfield. Put the ball in behind him. We haven't seen much of Peter Nelson putting a little David Humphrey spiral into the corner.
But mix it up a bit.
Yeah, mix it up a little bit, and as Paddy mentioned, it's a little bit too predictable at times in attack. So you know, mix the game plan up, hold on to it if you're in their green zone, and you know, maybe kick a little bit more.
I think mix it up, a bit of variety in the play, whether that's picking and going, kicking to the corners, exploit the wingers off. He's off for 10 minutes, try and find where that space is that he's left and try and exploit it.
Okay, Paddy, Stephen, thank you very much for your thoughts. It's back for the second half. Ulster leading by 13 points to 9. It's over to Tony and Jim.
Well, I'll tell you something, whether you're young or old, it's not getting any warmer here in the King's Band Stadium. And things have got a wee bit on the tight side for Ulster. Less than an unconverted try separates the side. 13-9 to Ulster.
We good to go?
I think there might have been a change in the Benetton Treviso side. Mike Adamson once again saying let's go, and it is Tommy Allen who gets this second half underway. Put that a wee bit on the long side. Nick Timoney waits and tries to make a bit of ground, well tackled by the vastly experienced Alessandro Zanni. Little chip by Cooney, didn't make a lot of distance. Where's it coming down? It needs to come back on the Ulster side. The referee says play on, and that was knocked forward by Benetton Treviso with a man in front of the ball when it was knocked forward, and it's going to be a penalty to Ulster, who were lucky enough to get away with that.
I think that's more an indication, Jim, possibly that there's a bit of wind out there and Cooney's box kick hanging. And as Barbieri tries to slap it back, he actually ends up knocking it forward, and it's Thomas Baravale, the Treviso hooker, who just can't resist grabbing that ball in an offside.
They were played on immediately.
offside position,
Played on
and Mike Adamson eventually decides to give the
played on
penalty.
immediately.
Yeah, there's the new man, and he's not a bad
This
fella,
one, yeah, it was
having
an offside.
got a chap who was just signed on
No,
a
they were played
short-term
on
basis
immediately.
from a local side. This is Alberto Di Marchi, vastly experienced Italian international with no fewer than 29 internationals behind him, and nearly 20 of those in the Six Nations. There is his hooker, unfortunately, Thomas Baravalli, the 27-year-old, born in Argentina, who's got himself injured in that. And Ulster perhaps lucky enough to get away with that. Didn't quite clear that ball as well as they might have. Baravalli seems to be fine. Gets a little pat from his fellow front row forward, Sherif Traore. Peter Nelson. And he's found a more than decent touch. It's all about finding the touch there.
Yeah, Kieran Crowley's obviously made a decision, Jim, at half-time. One would think to try and shore up that Treviso scrum, which Callum Black had given Giuseppe Di Stefano an absolutely torrid going over in the first half. So he's made a decision, bring on the experienced campaigner, try and lock down that Treviso scrum and give them a little bit more stability.
Referee not happy that John Andrew took it quite as quickly as he did, but Ulster are ready for this one. Oh, he's got it again. That's nicely done. And Greg Jones to replace Leliafano.
Advantage.
Timoney. He seems to be calling advantage for something. Back inside. That's nicely done. Pietau, lovely angle. Got himself caught. John Andrew, who gave him the pass. This is better stuff by Ulster. A little bit of a growl goes round the Kingspan Stadium now as the crowd start to appreciate this. Herbs gets out of the way. Taken on by Ulster, 2 or 3 men at a time. Set up by Kieran Treadwell. Good little flat pass and away to Tommy Bowe. Inside to Louis Lulick in one swift movement. Good covering by Robert Barbieri. Better now by Ulster. Callum Black. Up to the 22. Nelson again. Tommy Bowe. Busy Leliafano. Timoney. No room to use his pace, so he uses his strength. Ross Kane into Sherif Traore. Nelson again. Pietau. Very nearly got away. Could do with somebody else there to help him. Ulster have managed to win it. That's the new man, Aaron Hall. Cooney. Ludic. Leliafano on the spin.
Net roll. Number 1, net roll. Hold on. I just need the mark.
Callum Black penalised for affecting a neck roll in the tackle.
Yeah, also just a little bit predictable, Jim. Paddy mentioned it at half-time.
Yeah,
it's a little bit side to side.
Okay.
No wrap-arounds, couple of runners up, and then the ball comes in behind Christian Leliafano on this occasion, gets caught. It's Ross Keane trucking up on this occasion. Sherif Traore's had a big game for Treviso, really put himself around.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure where this incident occurred. It might have been here. Charles Pietau came back inside and... Ooh, yeah, well, I think he certainly did make contact with the player.
Very difficult in that situation, Jim, whenever the defender goes over the ball. How do you actually ruck him out at that stage? He has his body position is down and low, and realistically the only way he can do is to grapple the top half of his body and wrestle him out.
Nassimano has gone off the field. Ulster, thanks to Craig Gilroy, have managed to keep this one in. Now Pietau lost his footing on a slippery surface. Nelson hasn't really kicked at all tactically, and Leliafano's kick hasn't made much in the way of distance. Well, Tommy Bowe still does everything 100% right. Got himself kept off the ground now. If it's a maul situation, then the visitors are going to get the put into the scrum, and they do. And that's a good bit of defending by Benetton Treviso. And they're back inside Ulster's half with a put in and a strengthened scrum.
No, it's not position.
Yeah, that was some great upper body strength, wasn't it? Tommy Bowe takes it, and Andrea Bronzini starting to make atonements for his errors in the first half, and Barbini recently brought in to replace Manu in the back row as well, and the choke tackle, perfect.
Callum Black has gone off, and we've got a new face to Ulster Rugby and to the Kingspan Stadium. The South African scout Van der Merwe, the 26-year-old who's played for the Cheetahs and the Lions and for Montpellier and for the Southern Kings. had a shoulder operation just to clean something out at the start of the summer when he arrived, and had one game for the Ulster A side against the Cornish Pirates. So here he is in his first scrum in a meaningful way since his move to this part of the universe.
Stay square.
He's up against Andrea DiMarchi, so it's not a bad looking scrum between those two. Scarby very nearly through with Ignazio Brex. Here they come again, there's a hint of an overlap. Good straightening up by fullback Luca Sperandio. Bronzini. Again, nice hands. DiMarchi takes it on. This is good stuff from the boys in green.
Tackle!
Greg Jones gets out of the way. Alessandro Zani going nowhere, but retaining possession. They're very much within striking distance here, and remember there's only 4 points between them, and Ulster will not want to start slipping behind at this stage. Oh, back inside, and that very nearly might have been something special. And here goes Pietau. Referee will wait for advantage for the knock forward, I believe. John Andrews sets it up. It's good work by young Jones. He's impressed since he's been on.
Is over. Stay there.
For saying the advantage for the knock-on was over. John Cooney has to kick. He needs someone to chase it. Knocked back by Tommy Bowe, one-handed. Now there's a bit of a chance if Ulster can shift this. That was a loosish pass. Nelson.
Outside.
That's not a bad option by Nelson. Unfortunately for Pete Nelson, the first time he does kick tactically, he puts it straight into touch.
Yeah, it was a shame from Ulster. It was the ball just didn't go quite to hand. Pete Nelson picks it up, and his first option is to kick. The one thing Jim Treviso have done well this evening, though, with ball in hand, specifically their big back row forwards, to be able to stand and offload in the tackle, and that's negated Ulster's line speed, and also helped to get them in behind that defensive line, getting some good front foot ball, and Ulster really haven't dealt with it very well.
Yeah, they brought on Marco Barbini, who's another Italian international, so they've beefed up their side now, and they've won the ball. This is Bronzini, the scrum half, and back inside very nicely to Tommaso Benvenuti. We haven't seen him with ball in hand at all, and he's got a fair old bit of gas. Bronzini checks and changes and finds Zani, and the veteran makes ground.
No, stay back, stay back.
The pattern the same as it was in the first half, all the pressure coming from the visitors. Bronzini leaves it and looks to his right to see if there's a runner there for him. Bronzini. Iliafano and Nelson both tackle. This could be interesting here. Good covering there by Ulster, by Tommy Bowe. Slow and coming back, DiMarchi. Tackled by Nick Timoney, Ulster's number 8. Bronzini, little flat ball. This is good defending by Ulster. And they have to defend well. One little break in the line will cause them all sorts of problems. Treviso, once again it's Bronzini. And again it's Zani doing a bit of dragging. Lots of green in there among the white of Ulster.
Back feet!
Bronzini leaves it. They drive for the line. Ulster will not want their line crossed in this fashion.
Hold. Stay.
Bronzini gets in. Still going strong. That was Barbini, the replacement flanker for the visitors. Quaitu Douglas. Crowd getting behind Ulster to encourage their defending. Sharif Traore tries to make ground. Alan O'Connor gets himself out of the way. Barbini again, the replacement flanker. Good support play there from Benvenuti, the winger. This is better stuff. Barberi, the vastly experienced number 8. And again, Tommy Allen. Well tackled though by John Cooney, Ulster scrum half. Great pressure and great defending by Ulster in equal measure. Bronzini. No way through. That was Jones again with the tackle. Ulster up very quickly. The ball has been knocked forward, spilled forward and lost. And Cooney gets it away. Hasn't found his touch, but the referee will say that the advantage is now over since John Cooney put the kick in. John Andrew has to make the tackle, but the ball's still with Benetton Treviso. This is Quaitu Douglas. Bronzini, Tommy Allen. Good tackle by Timoney. Knocked backward. You may well have heard the referee say. Nice little hand tip there by John Cooney.
Hold. Use it.
Well, this is strength-sapping stuff. Ulster really digging in. Sharif Traore. Was he held? Not so. Bronzini gets it away again. There's his fullback. This is Douglas up to the 10-metre line of Ulster. DiMarchi comes thundering in. Little sortie on the narrow side. That's a nice show. And they found Bronzini again. John Andrew made the tackle. Referee's given a penalty.
Number 2.
Playing advantage for a high tackle on John Andrew, which is a little bit unfortunate for the Ulster hooker.
Don't deliberately chuck the ball.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go for the post here. And yeah, Peter Fitzgibbon just said, you may have heard saying, a penalty only is fine. There's Andrew. Well, that's the tackle. Was that high? Yes, the left arm, I think, just slipped up a little bit.
Yeah, I think a penalty's a fair call there, but that's high-class play, Jim, from Treviso. Continuity, work rate off the ball, desire. You know, Ulster struggling, making their first up tackles, but Treviso were carrying the ball in such a fashion, and they're cleaning out the ruck in such a fashion. Ulster have no chance to try and get hold of a turnover, relying on either a knock-on or a spill ball on the pass, and technically superb by Treviso. Very, very good.
Ulster making a couple of changes. Rob Herring and, interestingly, Andy Warwick going off. And Andy Warwick, who's normally a loose head, is going to have to pack down a tight head. And Rob Herring, back from a couple of weekends of international duty with Ireland, having thought that he would maybe never add to the one single Irish cap he got away back in Argentina in 2014 as a replacement. He came on against South Africa and started against Fiji, and of course scored a try against the Springboks, much to his delight.
Yeah, and you see Rob Herring straight away, you know, offering his fellow players, come on, let's pick up the pace here. And Les Kiss has decided to bring him into the fray, just add a little bit more experience to that Ulster pack, a little bit of pace and ball carrying ability as well, one would hope.
This to close it to a single point. It's the toughest kick so far for Tommy Allen. He struck it nicely. Oh, it's a very good kick from the visiting outside half. Well, we now definitely have a game on here at the Kingspan Stadium. It's Ulster 13 and Benetton Treviso 12.
And Jim, the onus very much here is on Ulster, both to pick up the pace and also to pick up in terms of their ingenuity, in terms of what they're trying to achieve. At the minute, it's very simple.
Well, what a moment for this fella. He has been around, it seems, forever. Paul Marshall, many congratulations to the wee man on this, the occasion of his 200th Ulster cap. He joins a very, very elite group. Roger Wilson, Andrew Trimble, Robbie Dyack, and Paul Marshall. Well taken in by Treviso, just a point behind.
Use it!
Outside the 22, he steps back in. Piatal waits. Well tackled. Marshall straight into it. Greg Ross, who's done well. Marshall again. Liliafano looks as if he's gone into the outside half position. And there he is, Lulic outside him. Good little wrap round by Liliafano, but he was well met by the vastly experienced Alberto Scarbi, that Benetton skipper. Aaron Hall, who'll remember this one for a long time, hoping for many more though. There's Marshall. That's gone directly into touch, and the Treviso people are delighted with that one.
Absolutely, Jim, you can hear them. They know they're well in this, and they also know they're well up for it as well. They sense there's a smell of a big upset here. And Ulster just are making, it's the unforced error count again, just trying to do too much. It's too side to side. What they need to try and do is just to get some forwards, going forward, get over the gain line, get some ball, get some possession, then work the territory from there, because at the minute they have neither possession nor territory.
I think Darren Cave has come on as well to allow Liliafano to go into outside half, and Darren Cave will take up his position at inside centre.
Okay,
so Pete Nelson has gone off, and there's a blood reversal. The Treviso number 7, Nasi Manu, having left the field a few minutes ago, has come back on again. That's not going to weaken them, and it's their throw. Ulster looking to challenge, perhaps. That was well taken. Barberi. Somebody said high tackle there in an English accent. It was one of the Italians, perhaps. Barberi, vastly experienced, into Paul Marshall. DiMarchi bouncing off Andrew Warwick, who drags him to the ground. Good work by Warwick. Bronzini with the kick. Didn't put enough on it. Now it's Pietau. Are we going to see something magical here? Gets the pass away to Gilroy, who last time out had no opportunity whatsoever to show those flashing feet. Greg Jones, not the first person to lose his grip on this surface. Liliafano. Rob Herring.
No, not around the side.
Who straight away doubled the number of caps in the Ulster pack. Ludic. Inside to Pietau.
First man, turnover's good.
And Ulster managed to lose that one. Zani gets it away. That's Breck's little chip and chase and into touch. And Ulster's line out. Well, it's been all green in the second half, Tony. We're 15 minutes into it.
Yeah, what Treviso have, Jim, is a big set of forwards, big men, and it's their physical dominance at the breakdown at the minute. We see the tackle, Pietau unable to present the ball back, and Treviso turn it over, and it's just that sheer size. They're able to stay on their feet. Ulster not able to put them to ground, blow them out of the way in terms of the counter ruck, get hands on the ball. And I can't really count any Ulster turnovers from ruck time this evening, and that's testament to how well Treviso have kept the ball, looked after it.
And Treviso seems to have changed their hooker. Marshall. Serious miscue. Oh, Van der Merwe gives it away to Barberi, and this is going to be criminal for Ulster. They've given away the softest of soft tries, and Robert Barberi doesn't maybe have the gas he had, but he had enough to get into the corner. And Benetton Treviso go ahead with the conversion to come.
The first rule of ball in the air is to try and catch it with two hands. Tread well back. Marshall doesn't get enough distance in the box kick, but Ulster go up here and slap this ball, Jim. And then, as you say, Van der Merwe, rather than actually picking the ball up and going forward, he throws a soft pass back. Barberi reads it brilliantly. Seasoned campaigner that he is. You're not going to stop him from 15 metres out, but that's no more than Treviso deserve. They've really been the dominant team in the second half. The longer it's gone on, the better they've looked as well. And if Tommy Allen knocks this over, it's out to a 6-point game, which means a converted try from Ulster to get back in the lead.
Yeah, it was always a pretty solid citizen, Robert Barberi. There's the ball going back, and it was just tossed back rather casually by Schalk van der Merwe, who won't look forward to seeing that again. And Ulster now have an awful lot to do. You thought maybe at 13-6 the writing was on the wall that they were going to come through and win this game. Now they're going to struggle to win this game, I have a feeling, Tony.
Yeah, well, Paddy Wallace made a great point at half-time in terms of talking about the structure of the Treviso defence. Their scramble was good, lack of missed first-up tackles. What's taken the toll in the second half is it's their physical prowess. These are big, proud Italian men, but they're strong over the ball, Jim.
Oh, what a good kick that is. Right between the posts, lovely strike by Tommy Allen. And from 13-6 up, Ulster are now 6 points adrift. It's Ulster 13 and Benetton Treviso 19, and about 23 minutes remaining.
I'd like to see Liliafano going short here. Ulster needs something to contest. They've kicked away every kick-off this evening's gone long.
And they've done it again. Well, that's gone loose. That was a good tackle by Craig Gilroy, who waited patiently for the Treviso man to gather the ball in. Bronzini knocked forward by Nasi Manu, who doesn't make those sorts of mistakes very often. First scrum for Hami Faiva, the replacement from New Zealand.
That's almost a change in tack from Treviso, Jim, isn't it? You know, we've seen them do. They've caught every kick-off. They've managed to set it up, maybe 5 or 6 metres, and then box kick it away. For this instance, they decide to throw a miss pass in the midfield and knock on, and I'm sure Kieran Crowley won't be too happy with that.
Ulster more or less split their forces. There's 4 in this, the near side of the field. This is number 20, Greg Jones, in the back row. What a callow back row it is, certainly in terms of caps and appearances. Penalty against Treviso at the scrummage.
Tie head, straight to ground. Tie head, straight to ground.
Interestingly, what will Ulster do, because they're a converted try behind? 3 points, of course, would close the gap, but Iliafano's the skipper, and he's going to make the decision, and he's made the decision, and I reckon the right one from an Ulster perspective, to go to the corner. And he finds it.
Yeah, he does. The line-out's been good tonight. We rolled back the clock a month or so ago to the last match at the Kingspan against Leinster, whenever the line-out was a shambles, and John Andrew in the first half has gone well. So the onus is now very much upon Rob Herring on his return from the Irish squad to maintain that standard.
Well, he did well in the green of Ireland. There's nothing much wrong with that one. Alan O'Connor took it in now. John Andrew likes coming round and rumbling, but that's well read by Benetton Treviso's forwards, because they've shunted Ulster back and infield by a considerable distance. Paul Marshall wrestling away there, and that's going to be a maul, and it's going to be a put into the scrum, and Treviso jump up and down as if they'd actually won the Pro 12 title itself.
Yeah, they were brilliant on the floor. As soon as Ulster landed there, they poured through. Ulster then tried splitting the Ulster maul. Then what they were able to do was to smuggle Nasi Manu in the wrong side, and once he had hands on it, that was never coming back. But just a lack of experience from Ulster, but Treviso very committed, working very, very hard for each other. Getting the turnover.
Well, into the final quarter of this game, and it doesn't really bear thinking about that. Ulster lost here some 6 years ago in 2011. Ulster 12, Benetton Treviso 23.
Crouch!
And there's not that much of a difference between the scores.
Sit!
Defensive put into the scrummage. Interesting option. Rather than clear their lines, they've tried to set it up to give them a wee bit more room, perhaps.
Timing line.
From Zini. Back to Allen. That's a good strike. Well taken by Gilroy. Now it's Piatau. He needs a little bit of help now. Here is Piatau. Oh, Piatau's right through. He threw that one rather wildly, but he's found his hooker, Rob Herring. Thought he might well have kept going there. Schalk van der Merwe, first carry for him in an Ulster shirt. Marshall, his 200th appearance. First appearance for Aaron Hall, wearing 7. Liliafano misses out Cave, but rather telegraphed it, and Tommy Bogut completely ambushed. Marshall is in there again. Liliafano in the pivot position. Nick Timoney. Liliafano. Treadwell back inside, cleverly done from Gilroy into big Greg Jones. Liliafano, it's all a little bit cluttered in the middle of the park there. There's Timoney. Also need to find some way of breaking this down. Little pop pass to Rob Herring from Marshall. Liliafano saw the way outside and was blocked, and they're sneaking up quite cleverly. Benetton Treviso. Marshall. Aaron Hall yet again. Referee's got the hand out for the penalty.
If you ask for the penalty, you can't take it quick. It's clear World Rugby directive, you can't do that.
Well, interesting there. Referee telling Paul Marshall, if you say it's a penalty, you can't take it quickly. Thoughts from Paddy Wallace?
Seems to have sparked Ulster into a bit of life. You can see that the passion is raised. They're playing with a bit more intensity now, but still the error count is mounting up for Ulster, and they keep giving Treviso opportunities, and they don't look like breaking down that strong, sturdy Treviso line at the moment. So certainly a match, 18 minutes of serious rugby ahead of us.
Well, it's maybe being a harbinger of doom and gloom to say that if Ulster lose this one, it doesn't make for very pleasant reading, and we're not even at the halfway stage of this league season.
No, it certainly doesn't, and it'll certainly up the ante in that man sitting there, Les Kiss. But listen, there's still 20 minutes to play here. I think from an Ulster perspective, Liliafano's going to go for post in this occasion, Jim, and I think potentially for me that's better. That closes the margin. Of course, if he gets it, that is. But I have to say, I've been really impressed with Treviso. We talked about how many they are missing this evening. I've been really impressed by their camaraderie, their work rate. There's been times we've turned up and watched Italian teams, and there's been substitutes and guys have gone off and they haven't been interested. This is an invigorated Treviso side. There's a lot of passion out there, and there's no lack of degree of skill either. I think their forward play this evening, their set piece has been decent. The change at half time in the front row has made a difference. Their scrum certainly well improved, but it's been their ball carrying, their ball protection, magnificent.
And while Ulster's error count hasn't been extraordinarily high, they've made mistakes in key areas, and giving away that try was well, most unfortunate, shall we say, drawing a veil over it perhaps. There'll be a wee smile or two if Christian Lealiafano can close the gap to just 3 points. He's given that a fair old wallop. Oh, that's a belter from Lealiafano, should we have been in any doubt whatsoever. So Christian Lealiafano gets his first points of the evening for Ulster. That takes his total for his Ulster career to date up to 19 points, as the visitors make a number of changes. And it's now Ulster 16, Treviso 19.
They also just need ball, Jim. They've been all, we've talked about error count, giving away soft ball. Darren Cave's seen very little of the ball since he's come on. Perhaps he's one that can unlock the door. We've seen very little counter-attack from Ulster in terms of the back three. Why? Because Treviso, whenever they have kicked, they've kicked well, and they've harried and chased well. Piatoy and Craig Gilroy have had very little loose ball to work with.
Number of Benetton changes, more of those in a moment, gathered in by Tommy Bowe to Nick Timoney. Gets across the 22, Marshall. Andrew Warwick. Marshall again. Piatow. And he's brought that infield straight into the arms of Luca Sperandio, who will run. And he's well tackled, but he's made it available. Bronzini in quickly. That's the replacement there. Marty Banks, who normally plays in the outside half position. Still there, Bronzini. Marty Banks is playing in the outside half position as one of the replacement props. There's a hint of an overlap here. Good tackle as always by Louis Ludic. Alessandro Zani in there very quickly. Numbers 18 and 19, and Bronzini looking for a little gap now. Tails up rugby at the moment. This is the replacement prop, Nicola Quaglio, I do believe. Oh, Barbieri is causing all sorts of problems, and here's a bit of a gap appearing here. Good covering there by Schalk van der Merwe, Ulster's replacement prop. That's a nice little chip, and back goes Marshall, and he gets caught close to the line, and he's been dispossessed, and they're very close to the Ulster line, and another try here would be calamitous for Ulster, and somehow somebody has managed to steal it, and I think it's the skipper Christian Lealiafano, and away by Marshall. And Ulster really will be breathing a huge sigh of relief, because that might have been game, set and match.
Yeah, they got out of jail there. Paul Marshall going down in the ball, but unable to retain possession. We see him going down, challenged by Treviso on the ground, and Lealiafano in the jackal position going over the top on this occasion. That's Ulster's first turnover, I think, at ruck time this evening, Jim, and it's come from the outside half, which is testament to what Treviso have done. But again, Treviso magnificent. Could quite easily just have kicked for territory there, put Ulster back in the 22, but what have they done? They've kept ball in hand. They've worked it from side to side, and they've worked out this Ulster defensive structure as well, because they've been able to get offloads in. They've ran well off the ball. They've made very few unforced errors.
It's number 16, in fact, is the replacement. This is the man Hamim Faiva, who's the replacement hooker. His first throw. For the Waikato Chiefs and the Auckland Bulls. Scarby, the captain, gets into Ulster's territory. Benetton Treviso still remember leading, and they brought on a few experienced guys. Faiva's by no means a bad performer. Big tackle there by Kieran Treadwell. And Huetu Douglas. Morisi, number 23. Little chip through, that's could be interesting. Well gathered by Marty Banks as he knocked it forward. All the way back goes Louis Ludick, as brave as ever. But Ulster under fierce pressure now from this Benetton Treviso side, are really enjoying themselves. Paul Marshall comes back in field and gets a little bit of help from his white-shirted forwards. Ulster stuck ever closer to the line as time starts to tick away from them. Marshall into a wee bit of space, which is filled very quickly by Lucas Sperandio. Ulster could do with another turnover ball away by Benvenuti. And there's a chance here out wide. Crowd thought that was forward to Luca Morisi. Here's Faiva. Has taken two men to bring him down. Bronzini, a little sortie in the narrow side, well read by Darren Cave in the far side, and Louis Ludick. Picked up by the international prop De Marchi, who's made such a difference in the front row of the Italian scrum. Bronzini again. Replacement prop is on there as well, Nicola Quaglio, number 17. This is Scarby, the skipper. They're building patiently, and they've given away the penalty, and they'll be furious with themselves for that, because the try looked as if it was there for the scoring.
Yeah, Lucas Sperandino, side injury in terms of clearing out Christian Leafano. But again, Jim, it's their ball security. They look so comfortable with ball in hand. Also struggling to get off the line, and Marty Banks now on calling the shots at 10. But again, that's great commitment from Leafano defensively, doing a back row's job, doing it well.
Yeah, Marty Banks signed at the start of the season, having played last year in 14 out of 16 Super League or Super Rugby games.
Yeah, but just see what he brings in terms of that last stanza of play, that sort of small rugby league style grubber kick through, and just catches defensively. You know, the defensive lines aren't looking for that, forwards are looking for contact, and it can be such a subtle skill to have, but yet so effective.
Well, another new face here to the Kingspan Stadium. Just 19 years of age a week ago, and the former Belfast Royal Academy pupil Matthew Dalton comes on, and off goes his fellow teenager Aaron Hall. And that wasn't straight, would you believe, by Rob Herring. And it's given the scrum to the visitors with just over 10 minutes remaining. Here's some latest scores. The Cheetahs have put Edinburgh to the sword with a 20-point margin there. Cardiff leading Connacht, beaten Connacht by 16 points to 13. Or leading Connacht, I should say. And Leinster have come back, having been 10-0 down against the Dragons. Leinster, as you'd expect them to do, are walloping the Dragons by 35 points to 10. And Ulster have to go to the Dragons next week, but they will not want to go there on the back of a home defeat. And this may well be their second home defeat of the season. Early push from Ulster, taken quickly by Barbini, the replacement flanker. And again, they're looking pretty exuberant. That's good work by Witu Douglas, part of a very good back row. Here's Faiva, another New Zealander. They've really brought them in to bolster their resources, and they're still making ground. Quaglio, the prop, goes in to help. Di Marchi, the other prop, is there. Nasi Manu. Marty Banks, no way through. Good tackling on the ground by Darren Cape, but he gets huckled out of it. Here comes Barbieri, the try scorer. Bronzini. Witu Douglas. Morisi is in there, ripped the ball away. Looked like a wee bit of a head roll there, but the referee happy enough with it. Good tackling once again by Ulster.
Advantage, high tackle.
But the tackle was high, and the penalty is going to be given. And if they take this one, it will make life extremely uncomfortable. Little chip and chase. Paul Marshall dots it down, but Mike Adamson will bring them back for the penalty. And how conclusive could this be now, Tony McWhorter?
Well, certainly, Jim, you would imagine they're going to take 3 and push that total back out to put total margin back out to 6 points. But again, Ulster finding it so difficult to get hands on ball. Scott van der Merwe going high, but look at the way that Douglas stays on his feet. Morisi then goes in, rips it off him and rolls out the side, and it's just been tantamount. You know, their physical prowess, Jim, was really told in the second half. You know, the grizzled, experienced forwards, and they've dominated really this Ulster pack in the second half with just good old-fashioned tactics. Pick and go round the corner, runners off 9, soft offloading, cleaning the ball out nicely. You know, they've been really good value for their lead.
Andrew Trimble, Ulster's most capped player, is going to be coming on with about 8 minutes of this game remaining, but in the meantime everybody is going to be focusing their attention on this man here wearing number 22 for Benetton Treviso, Marty Banks. This to increase the lead with about 7 minutes remaining to the stage where Ulster definitely would need a try. Well, he's just eased that one in very nicely, Marty Banks, and that is not a scoreline that will be greeted with much joy by anybody here at the Kingspan Stadium at Ravenhill Park. We have 7 minutes to go as Andrew Trimble comes on for Ulster cap number 224, and off goes his great buddy Tommy Bowe. But it's Ulster 16 and Benetton Treviso 22, knocked back by Craig Gilroy. It's all over the place. Referee saying the Benetton hand nudged it forward. Paul Marshall, such a lot to do. He doesn't want to celebrate his 200 by a defeat, and they've come back for the knock forward because Ulster didn't gain any advantage. Now, Tony, is there time?
Well, there's plenty of time, Jim. There's nigh on 6-7 minutes here, but that's the first contestable kick-off where Ulster have had a chance to win the ball back this evening. And what have they done? They've won the ball back. You know, really, kick-offs are such a large part of this game now, and
good balance.
You must give yourself a chance to regain possession rather than simply giving it away, because exit strategies now are so good from opposition teams. Invariably you find yourself back from where you once started.
John Cooney and Tommy Bowe watching on from the Ulster replacements bench. 6 minutes remaining.
Set. Hold.
Well, Ulster scrum has been pretty good and they've got a squeeze on, and the referee's penalised Benetton Treviso's front row for whipping the ball round, and surely they must go into the corner now.
Yeah, I don't think they've any option. 5 minutes. Lealiafano comes across and finds his touch.
Well, perhaps for the first time this evening, the crowd here in this stadium have really started to roar, and it's been a wee bit late, but maybe it can work for Ulster, but they've a lot to do.
Well, they haven't really had much to shout about, Jim. There hasn't really been that performance from the team in white to give them a chance to get their bums off the seats and get involved.
5 minutes for Treviso to hang on and record another famous win here. Well taken by Alan O'Connor, who's done well. And Treviso once again let him get to ground and then drive him backward. So heave, say the Ulster crowd. Rob Herring has got the ball in there somewhere. Marshall's having a little look outside him. Little flat pass to Gilroy. And again, the Treviso tackling is very good. Marshall again, Rob Herring. Nice sidestep by the Irish international. Marshall again. Taken on well by Nick Timoney. Ulster putting on all the pressure. Lealiafano slips at the very last minute, but he's still maintained possession. Cleverly done by Lealiafano. Thundering drive for the Treviso line. Crowd really getting to their feet and giving voice to their exhortations. Marshall again. Slight delay, but it's worth it. Still there. Referee has got a hand out for an offside, I think. Charles Piatow has a go himself. Can he squeeze it back? He can. Marshall. That's nicely done. Lealiafano chip for Gilroy. Just too far, but they'll come back for the penalty. And surely Ulster much, well, will they go for the corner? Will they take the scrum? Less than 4 minutes to go, Tony.
Yeah, it's going to depend exactly where the referee gives a mark for this, Jim. Looks as if it's going to be in the 15. You know, so if they do take the scrum, there's a decent blind side potentially for Andrew Trimble now on the right wing. And the scrum's been good as well. Lealiafano, though, is taking the ball potentially going to kick this to the corner.
Well, he's had a word with his forwards, and
no,
I think Rob Herring has actually said to him, let's go for the scrummage. Well, this could be the most important scrummage of Ulster's season so far, and maybe the whole most important scrummage of the entire season, because lose this game and Ulster are in big trouble in terms of looking at a quarter-final, certainly a home quarter-final.
Yeah, well, Ulster have had the edge at scrum time, Jim, so it'll be interesting to see if they're able to get a nudge here. Andrew Warwick it is in the tight head side, a position he's pretty unaccomplished to and unknown to as well. He can hold his own there, but there's a big blind side down the right hand. And if they can get a good platform, you would expect maybe Paul Marshall's pace or Timoney's pace perhaps off the base of the scrum, running straight across the pitch with Andrew Trimble, that physical specimen out there.
In it goes, Herring got the strike. Heave go the crowd. Now, can the Ulster pack heave? They can, but they're setting up for Marshall. Flat to Darren Cave. Good carry by the experienced centre, fast approaching the score, and it's a score, and he's got over, and it's Andrew Trimble, of all people, Ulster's most capped player, has got one of the most important tries of Ulster's season. With the conversion to come, Ulster still might steal this victory.
That's what Trimble brings you, it's that physicality, that running off the ball. Marshall shows good control, Cave takes 1-2 men, rides it out, good presentation. And Trimble comes on such a tight, acute line there. Marshall just has to make sure that he connects with him. Trimble's momentum takes him over.
Well, two of the members of the 200 club combined there. The scrum half popped it up. The wing three-quarter finished it off. And we have the conversion to come from Ulster's skipper for the evening, Christian Liliafano. Liliafano. Oh, he's got it. Well, there's still a bit of time for Treviso to come back, but in the meantime, Ulster regain the lead with a minute and a half or even less to go. It's Ulster 23 and Benetton Treviso 22.
That's potentially a huge get out of jail card from Ulster and Andrew Trimble. Treviso have a minute, Jim, to get back into this, but my goodness, if they don't win this, they're going to feel very hard done by.
They're going for possession. Knocked on by Ulster and by, I think it was Darren Cave just nudged it forward. It might have been Alan O'Connor. I'd like to have another look at that. Treviso very keen. It was Alan O'Connor, I think. And nobody really came. It was a very clever kick by Marty Banks. Now we're into the last minute of this game. There's maybe just time for one more set piece, and Treviso will have to win the ball cleanly and will have to do something, or perhaps even force a penalty out of referee Mike Adamson. So Ulster cannot afford to make any mistakes at this scrum. They might even be better letting them win it and rely on their defence rather than try to twist or collapse the scrum, because this is very kickable.
Bind. Set. Hold.
Down they go. Down they go. And look at that clock in the top left-hand corner. It's now gone into 80. Schalk van der Merwe debating something with Mike Adamson. Not a good idea, Schalk, I would suggest, because Mr. Adamson is not a man who's averse to a peep of the whistle and a wave of the hand.
Good stability on the set.
Van der Merwe just needs to watch his bind, Jim. I think Adamson's looking for him to make sure that he connects with the top of the tight head in terms of almost on the number of his shirt.
And the tight head is one of Italy's World Cup players, Alberto De Marchi, who's very experienced and will know that Mike Adamson is looking at this scrum. Now, has Van der Merwe got the bind right? That looks okay to me. Nothing really moving forward. Down it goes, but the referee's happy enough, and away they come. They're going to try to create something out wide. Ulster have to defend. Wonderful tackle there by Andrew Trimble, the try scorer. Well, Ulster thought the ball was knocked forward there, and that has been knocked forward. It's been stolen, it's knocked forward, and Ulster have got out of jail, I do believe. And it is all over, and they've blown the whistle, and a little bit of nastiness breaks out, as you could perhaps just imagine from such a tense game and such a very important game. And how important will these 4 points be to Ulster right at the end of the season, when places home or away in the knockout stages are being divvied up. My word, they left it late, and my word, they relied on their most experienced player of all time, Andrew Trimble. On this, the occasion of his 224th Ulster appearance, he's rattled in league try number 51, and he never scored a more important one.
There's such a disconsolate look from the Treviso players. Jim, they're standing hands and hips looking at each other, just wondering, how do we actually gift that away? For me, they were the better team. They showed better control. Lots to offer, and Ulster really, huffed and puffed and failed to blow the house down at all until Andrew Trimble just at the end forces himself over the line. But Ulster almost needed that loaded gun put against their head before they were able to pull out a move that was going to work this evening. But listen, 4 points, yes. I think before the game, Gles Case would have been, I'm sure, looking for 5. He'll take the 4, considering how close they were to nearly losing that match.
Well, thank you, Tony. Congratulations there to Matthew Dalton, likewise Aaron Hall, and indeed the other new cap on the Ulster side, Greg Jones. All youngsters, all who performed very well indeed. 2 teenagers and a 20-year-old did very well. Treviso, well, will come away from this one wondering how they managed to let it slip. They were 13-6 adrift. They fought back to go ahead by 22 points to 16, but Ulster knew that a converted try would do them, and they left it very, very, very late. Paul Marshall, on the occasion of his 200th cap, popped it up to the most cap player, and Andrew Trimble did the rest. But then we had to wait.